Yay, we're live, aren't we?
Seems like.
I'll share
Amazing.
it as well.
Go for it.
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah, it's working on your side. Amazing. I'm so happy to. Okay. Welcome everybody for this amazing transmission today on the 21st of December, winter solstice, official opening of the age of Aquarius. I have the honor to receive Bella Crystal, which is an expert into human design and gene keys. Um, Personally, I don't know exactly what it is about, so I'm gonna ask a lot of questions from a really genuine place for me to learn and for the people that are watching to learn also. And I just want to share before that how potent can be such a tool. Just a friend of mine was saying, imagine we are knowing that when we are coming into this world, we are having that kind of reading and we know our purpose and unlocking our design from birth. It can be so potent. But right now we have those tools available and I'm excited to learn more about that. So I would like you to introduce yourself and to tell us how you discover that and what motivates you to share those codes and what pushes you to be into that space of unlocking your design.
Thank you. Yeah, I would say that I'm all about embodiment and I'm not really about systems and theories. But I did find these systems when I was in a space with a lot of space. I've been through a very dark period of my life and really kind of had to let go of so many things. And I was in that process of a lot of space of building myself up and seeing like, what do I bring in? And these two systems that are based on astrology, they are based on the chakra system, they are based on the seasons and the elements of the Chinese medicine, the I Ching. And it was something that really came into my life and that I couldn't actually not include because they told me, they gave me the permission to be me. They just showed me kind of everything that I already knew about myself, but I hadn't had really the courage to be that in the world because I felt like I wanted to be perfect. And what is perfect? And these are the things that we as humans are, sometimes we are not following our inner authority and truth, but we're looking outside to see, how should I be? What is expected of me? And I was very much like kind of building my life like that for many years. And then it kind of fell through because my soul was dying. And then in the way of rebuilding myself, I found those systems and they felt like they were not just crutches on the way, but they really felt like genuine, like friends, or genuine support for me. And then I started to speak about it, kind of what you say, like you speak with somebody and you share about it. And apparently, when I shared about it, people could feel the truth and they could feel me just shifting from having been kind of oriented of like all the time the expectations on me to coming into much more grounded space and much more of a feminine space instead of a doing, a much softer space. And that's when the interest came and people were asking me, how did you do? What happened? And I started to speak about it. And that's kind of what's still going, like 8 years later. It's kind of, it never stopped. I still got those questions because it's all about when you start to embody your truth. That's what it's palpable. Like people can start feeling that. And they are wondering, because we're all kind of running in some kind of hamster wheel or collapsing out of the hamster wheel. And none of those two places, the running or the collapsing, are fun places to be in. So when we see a spark of something that's working for somebody, that's the beautiful thing now, even with internet and all that, we can inspire each other and help each other to find that path of alignment with who we truly are.
Wow, that's so powerful. This path of truth is also resonating so much with me, and I'm glad to know more about how it works because I've been going on your website. I've been even like subscribing to receive the free training and something like this. And I've been going on the website with the 64 doors, and I was like not really getting what is that. So I would love you to dive a bit more into those gene keys and how it is linked to human design, and what are those doors, and why it can be beneficial for us to knock on those doors. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think most of us know astrology and we know that there are 12 signs.
Yes.
So it's a similar thing, but what I was referring to before, we're using the I Ching. So instead of dividing the year in 12 signs, we are dividing it into 64 sages, you could say, 64 wise
Mm.
women or wise men. And they all have a flavor, they all have like a lesson for us. So I am, for example, I'm Taurus, which is a whole month. So a lot of Taurus is in the world, and we don't always are like, we have some similarities if our sun is in Taurus, but we're not the same. So
Mm.
already when we go to Jinkies and Human Design, instead of dividing it in 12 month or 12 signs, we are dividing it in 64 different elements. And that's when you're seeing the 64 doors. I often see it as a kind of an oracle card, that
Mm.
you can, all these cards have something to teach you, but you are going to be born when the sun was in one specific of these ones. So for me, the sun was in Taurus, but it was also in Gene Key 2. And Gene Key 2 is an archetype that is made up, when we speak about the Taoism, it's made up of only yin lines. So it's the prime feminine. And that's
Mm.
what I was saying to you before. My life has been so much about running and doing in the masculine and kind of running away from the void. And when I realized that, I'm born under the prime feminine, I am actually here to just embrace life and to not be afraid. And I know I have that quality, because sometimes when things are different to embrace for people, when they're really difficult, that's when I'm really there. And then she comes out and she embraces everything. So really what the 64 doors are is this yearly calendar. The sun is going to go through all the 12 signs. It's going to go through all the 64 archetypes or doors or wisdom cards, however you want to see it. But it's the activations on the astrological wheel that tells us
Mm.
different things, depending on the astrological signs, but also depending on the season. So right now we're in the winter season, and we call it the quarter of mutation. It's a lot of dying and letting go, so that we can start a new astrological year with new intentions and new energy. So it's all about this kind of cyclic way of living. It's not a linear. Life is not linear. It's not, we're born, we have a career, and we die. It's like it's actually everything is cycles.
I love that. It's funny because the cycles are also linked to this spiral and circle of the feminine, but also the cycle and the regularity of it is really the kind of masculine clock, of the universe. So I love that those cycles are really like uniting both polarities. I love this awakening that I just had right now about that. And I have another question regarding to, for example, the age of Aquarius. Right now, officially, we are entering this full age of Aquarius. Does Gene Keys are saying something about that? Because you say it's linked to astrology. So I wonder what is the perspective upon that subject.
Yeah, I almost wish I had the slides, but I want this to be just a conversation. But we were just
Yes.
showing the slides for people in a conference right before that is showing, it's showing on the astrological wheel where the planets are. And we can see that coming together, that conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn right now. So Jupiter is about our expansion and Saturn is about our karma, and kind of like sometimes that kind of, whether we see it as a dark feminine that kills what's not here to live anymore, or we see it as the teacher and the kind of masculine that is a little bit hard on us. It's so really expansion, and then karma, or what's our the ruler, the kind of what these are coming together, and they're coming together for the first time in a very, very, they're coming together for the first time since we have started to count all this in Aquarius. And this is something that the Mayans, like, it's not only Western astrology, it's like something that's been calculated for a long time. And in human design, we also have something that is calculating the global cycles, and it speaks about our reality going from something that's very detailed, very kind of fear based, for the last 400 years, and coming in now with this shift in the coming 7 years, we're gradually coming into a cycle that is much more about our individual truth, and that the survival that comes from kind of the liberation of our own individual spirit, instead of like the mass kind of, is it safe, is it not safe, I have to have insurance, the details, like all the professions, the special, like all that has been coming in this 400 last years was very important for our evolution, but it's not the truth that is here forever. It was a phase, a stage. So that's a lot what human design and Jinky speaks about, this shift from now to 2027, the 7 last years of this kind of fear-based dark age in a way, into coming into something that's much more liberating of our own spirit, of our own true, our own individuality, which doesn't mean that there is no intimacy. It doesn't mean that we don't care about each other. It just means that we're grounded inside what you were saying in the beginning, you know, the path of truth, and also what you were saying about the spirals. Like if we see that we have an opportunity every year to go around the astrological wheel with all those elements, with all those influences. And every time we thread, if we can do it with a little bit more love, with a little bit more openness, with a little bit more embrace, with a little bit more wisdom, and a bit more courage, like also the kind of masculine parts of the earth too, that's our evolution. It goes in a spiral, and we're going to have, we always have more opportunities until the day that this spiral of, you know, this incarnation is ending.
Okay, I have 2 questions. The first one is, you said from 20 to 27, this is this kind of dark age where this is fear-based, for us to maybe alchemize that, for then to transmute into the light. So this is the first, I would like you to tell us more about that. And the second one is, imagine that somebody, I'm coming to you and I said, I want my gene keys and my human designs. How can it serve me during the year? I'm going to have a map during the year where I can just always come and say, oh, what is my energy tuned with the cosmos right here, right now? And how can I go through it? Is it included into a reading, that kind of stuff?
So let's start with the first question.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, that the 400, so we go through collective cycles, and they are about 400 years. So the last 400 years were a lot about details, a lot about foundation, what's safe, what's not safe, what works, what doesn't work, detail, kind of investigation. So science came up much more than it had before. And it's like, it's meant to be, because we have cycles that build on each other. So that's what the energy has been. Now the energy is going into something that's much more subtle. It has much more to do with spirit. It's much more to do with inner truth. It has much more to do with kind of a cellular truth, that it's not really the science that's going to tell us like this plus this makes this. And it's a little bit like truth right now in society. It's like it's not really, it kind of, you have to tune into your own truth. You're going to be fed with so many different details and research out there, but it's not like, that's not really what's going to tell you. You have to kind of become your own role model. Nobody's going to role model truth for you anymore. And hopefully you have learned a lot through this, you know, through the lineage of the 400 last years, everything that we have right now, including technology that we can use. But the sense of what's true for you becomes individually grounded, because it's not, you can't outsource that on any kind of organization or anybody else.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. I did a Moonday transmission this morning, and I was talking about that kind of stuff because I'm also really tuned onto this unique channel of truth, and I'm basically empowering souls that are ready to listen to their intuition fully and to tap into this inner truth, because I do believe that my channel, your channel, somehow is a bit different. We have different like way to receive the spirit, you know, and this is where it's important to be able to listen and be present to what is coming to us and to listen to that inner truth. And I'm so glad you just reflect that right now. I'm so like resonating with that so much. So wow, powerful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And that really brings us into your second question.
Yes.
That for me, we have a truth and we have a blueprint that's unique and that we bring with us as we're born, as perfect babies, you know, and that is there for the whole time. So I love to look at that blueprint as a foundation for how you deal with the transits of the year. So for me, the important thing is to see what's your unique blueprint. And there are going to be words that you're going to recognize in yourself. So for me, for example, some of the words or archetype are the feminine, it's intuition, it's inspiration, it's enthusiasm, it's inner guidance, it's versatility. So, and all these things, I know them in me. So when you do your birth map, it's going to come with these keywords for you that are your blueprint. And what I always say is that if you learn your blueprint, because for me, for example, when I'm falling out of my intuition, I'm falling into unease, like my body's telling me that something is not right because I'm not listening. When I'm falling out of this feminine orientation in the moment, I'm starting to feel lost. So the map is showing you when you are in an expansive, trusting energy and when you go into a fear-based energy. So what I feel is that chart is in a way more, it's a better foundation in a way than to be like kind of on the whim with all the transits. Like if we are in a universe and we are looking at 13 planets that we really know, but then we have a million bodies out there in asteroids, and they are also turning on, like they're also activating different things. So instead of feeling like we are kind of victims in a way for everything that's moving, what's important for me is that you learn your keywords and you see when you're out of alignment with your keywords and come back into center. And when you are into center, when I am in my feminine embrace, when I'm in my intuition, inner guidance, like even the solstice or even whatever happens, I'm going to be able to be in my center, whatever happens. And then of course we can have fun and look at the transits and be like, oh my God, I've had Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter in the 61, that was the conjunction in Capricorn this year. It's been on my heart the whole year. And sometimes I felt suffocated. So of course we can look at transits. But for me, what's important is that you learn your set of unique keywords and that you learn to play with them as your own magician in a way, your own mystic. These systems are not making you more, like they could never narrow you down. Like your intuition won't narrow you down, your inspiration won't narrow you down, your enthusiasm can't. So it's not telling you this is who you are and you can only be this. It's actually opening up for a journey that's more rich. That's why I'm still with it, otherwise I couldn't stay with it.
Wow. So basically those words are kind of keys that are showing you when you are in alignment, and when you are out of alignment. And why it is called gene keys? Is it related that to the fact that when you are aware of that and pronounce those words, you are tapping into a different expression of your genes? Is it like on genetic level too?
Yeah, I mean, that way of saying it is really good because then we don't have to go into the details. But even like if we go back to what is this, the Chinese system, and I was speaking about the yin and yang before. So we're working with a system. There's a binary system, kind of a computer code, which is the same thing as our DNA. So the I Ching is taking the 64 archetypes, or the 64 gene keys, are made up of 6 lines, and these 6 lines can be either broken, yin lines, or full lines, yang lines. So if you have 6 lines, they are either broken or unbroken. You can actually create 64 different things with them, like depending on the first line is broken, the second line is full, whatever combination. There are 64 possible combination. These ones are the same coding as if you're looking at our DNA, we have amino acids, A, T, C, U, and they are creating a code. And there are people that don't like diving really deeply into this. I haven't. Like I can see when somebody shows me, I see, oh yeah, that completely corresponds. So there is the mathematical scientific kind of level of it, but I like to see it more both in the esoteric and also what you are saying. What does it mean in my life? If I am in an expansive, trusting energy, it's for sure that I'm tapping into more of who I am than if I'm in a fear-based, attached, and tense. It's like, for me, I don't even need to see the mathematical on paper. It's just, yeah. And I see my own life. 30 years, I tried to be perfect. And I lived a lot of things, but I also had moments with a lot of like soul ache. And then when I started to appreciate who I am, like my life, it's the way that I feel on the inside is so different, and the way I can share on the outside is also so different. So it's more like I've seen it expand my own life experience.
Wow. So it's more about an experiential embodiment of your own upgrade through the use of what you are saying, the keys and the words, basically. Yeah, I always have this kind of mindset of scientific because I have a background in biochemistry, biology. So I'm really aware of all those stuff like the amino acids and all of that. Somehow it
You
was
would love it.
resonating on my side. It was resonating like 64. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know there is something there. And you just point the finger on it. So I'm really happy for that.
You know, you would probably love to go into it. And it's also, there's something we call codon rings, which is a genetic thing. So there are codon rings, and these codon rings are using different amino acids, which is what, you know, in our body, the amino acids is what's kind of pushing play or stop on all the different processes. And there's a unique coding as well, like those gene keys that are part of the same codon ring are actually doing biologically in our body a certain thing, because they are linked to that specific amino acid. So for you, it would be super interesting probably. And also we have each one of the gene keys are kind of coding a different biological kind of organ, or and for me, my purpose sphere, it's about the diaphragm. And that's kind of what I was saying when I'm not aligned, because it's not that you're just aligned and you're always aligned. We're always human, so we can always sway. But like my diaphragm tells me, like my breath is what's kind of stops when I'm not in alignment. So even like that's the whole thing, coming back to embodiment. Your body is going to tell you everything. If you were enough in attunement with your body, your energy, you would not need the gene keys. The thing is, for our humans, is that we are conditioned and influenced by everything that is around us, whether it's the people that are there now, or it's the imprinting in our lineage, or it's our upbringing. And that has disconnected us from feeling this amazing thing that tells us everything and that gives us hints in every second. So that's why sometimes it can be good to use a system, but everything is already here for us.
Sure, but what is really useful is to have a map, because like everything is here, but somehow where I need to look at. Because for me, 10 years ago, I did a shamanic journeys, and it was to meet my animal totem, and I couldn't see anything, I couldn't hear anything. I didn't know where to look at, basically. So by having this map is pointing the perspective of someone on a specific aspect of themselves where they can relate somehow. So it's really amazing. But this is how I understand that. And there is something that came to my mind again. When I was working in a lab, I had a kind of part of my experiments was about proteody. Proteody is basically using a certain melody that will influence the gene expression, no, the protein expression, which means that by this melody, by this vibration, you can stimulate the DNA to produce certain proteins, for example, growth protein or all that kind of stuff. So by the gene keys and the words that you are saying, those words are basically influencing your DNA to express specific amino acids, so to say, proteins, so to say, changing your biochemistry.
Yes.
Wow, that's powerful. I love that. Okay, I may want to know more about all of that because it's really talking to me. Okay, this is the part on gene keys, right? And what about human design? Can you explain more about human design and how both are maybe complementary or both are? Just explain us more about that.
Yeah, this comes back to the sense that I said I will never accept to be boxed into a system. Like, I'm a synthesizer, I'm a visionary. I could never say, this is my Bible. I just can't. I don't think I'm here for that, you know? So for me to not just use one system, but to see the magic of astrology, the chakra system, human design, gene keys, the I Ching, to see this system interplay, to show us how we can expand our life experience. That's important for me. Really, it's the same 64 hexagrams. So the way that we map them out in human design is that we make a human with 9 centers, and you're going to have different things in you that are going to be colored in, or they're going to be white. And human design really shows us how it's the same 64 that is coding how we fill in the body graph, but it's showing us where you have color is where your energy is kind of untouched in a way. It's so powerful, so it goes out in the world. It's the direction from you out into the world, where you have a colored center in your human design body graph. Wherever you have a white center, you get to take in everything that's on the outside, and you get to either discern what's yours and what's not yours, or if you're not that aware, you're going to get conditioned by it. So for me, my center of worthiness is completely open. So I've had to take in the expectations of everybody else. And my quest, like I said, for a long time was to be perfect. Because if I was perfect, I didn't have to feel that I wasn't good enough. But it's just that, like, when you live your life out of conditioning, you're never going to be able to expand. You're never going to be able to truly live in your heart, because you're actually lost in one of these open white centers. So that is just one example. You might have your head open, which is confusion, doubt, and psychosis. Like, you're going to be able to feel all the doubt, psychosis, and it's going to come into you. And if you are not aware, you might think that that's you. So the white centers are important in the sense that you get to feel everything. You get to not only feel, but kind of you get to play with everything. And then you have to decide for you, come back to your center again. So human design shows us where could you easily be conditioned? Where does the pressure from the outside come? And where can you tune into where you can really trust that your energy is consistent? So showing us that. And human design is also beautiful. If we would put you, Leo, and me on top of each other on our body graphs, we could see, wow, maybe that both of us alone, we have that open worthiness center, but maybe we come together and suddenly in the joint energy of what we are, we get to feel what it is to be worthy, what it is to be appreciated. And then so it's also the beauty of human design of being able to look at combination or connection charts and see both how do we resonate, how do we help each other, and sometimes maybe you have all your centers colored and I am very white. I'm going to maybe feel a bit oppressed by you because your energy is so strong. So to learn to look at the interaction between people, whether it's friendships, whether it's lovers, whether it's, mother and son, it really helps us to understand the dynamics between people or inside a team.
Wow, that's very powerful. And when you have both gene keys and human design, you become a superhuman, basically, because you are able to be aware of your own body, what is happening, how does it reacting, how do you feel that, and then thanks to this map, you can understand yourself more and be much more compassionate somehow with yourself also.
Yes, so much. I love that you said that, because that's exactly what happened to me. I was like, why am I so, like, I was putting myself down for being how I am when I saw other people who were much more tough, much more in a way that I didn't know how to be. But then now that I look at my profile, when I look at, I'm like, I'm not supposed to be like that. But it's a permission to be me and to appreciate these people that are more tough in a way. And be like, that's really cool. They are tough. But I'm not like that. I'm kind of tough in a different way. But if I had tried to be tough in their way, my own, that rawness of me wouldn't have come through, because I wouldn't even have appreciated it or allowed it to be seen, running after trying to be something I'm not.
Wow. And imagine that I want human design from you or gene keys from you. What do you need for that? What kind of information you need? Like my birth time and my birthday and the place that I'm born? Something like this?
Ideally, I would need even the birth time. If you have the birthday and the birthplace, it's already good. But if we want to go into things that are like your sexuality and like some of the things that are a little bit hidden, we would actually need the time or the approximate time. But it's also possible, if I get to speak to you, I'm going to probably be able to, without having your time, I'm going to be like, okay, I can feel this in you because I've done this for a while now, and you're going to be able to guide me where the activation is. So, but ideally, if you want to do it online for free for yourself, you would want to have your birth time, the place you were born, so those details that you have on your birth certificate. So if you have that, you're fine. You don't need anything else.
Wow. And basically what you're saying is also that right now, with your experience, you can somehow feel into me where maybe I have a yellow or white human design, and maybe my gene keys, you can maybe feel that kind of stuff intuitively.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'm surprised, but more of the times I'm like, this makes so much sense. Like, I know what somebody does for their life's work. I feel like they're so on purpose. And then I see their charts and like, I know somebody who is, he's working with like a system that is correcting the neck, and like it's kind of a chiropractic thing. And then I saw the chart. I'm like, this is about correction. It's about vitality. It's about depth, because he knows everything about the fascia and the muscles and the everything. And I'm like, oh my god, like it's all there, and he's so on purpose. So it's really beautiful when you see, when you see that expression of the, the gene expression in a way, and then that embodied in a human life. It's like it really touches me every time it happens. And also to be able to guide people, because it also happens when we are conditioned. Maybe you're here to really be very in tune with your own truth, and maybe that's your design, but you're really all about others and others and others. Then it can help you to actually, I can help with, or when you see your design, you realize I have to actually start with me. So that there's like, you can be in transference, what we call it. You can be in your not self instead of in your true
Mm.
self. So all of us have those things. So that's why it's beautiful to look at it too. But often, yeah, when people are happy and you look at their design and you see, I understand why you're happy, because you're doing what you're here to do.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Oh, that's powerful. I love that. And basically, you're doing like one-on-one all the time, or is it something that you're also doing on group? Because you say you can do like in a team interaction. So maybe you are called sometimes in companies to kind of soothe the energy and try to help people to weave their way together through communication and get to understand each other. And are you
Yeah.
also, there is this question, individual, a group for companies, and the third one is, if I want to learn all of that, are you teaching that kind of knowledge?
Mhm. Thank you for all these questions.
Yeah.
I started with companies. Like I used to be a business consultant. So I started to do this inside, the management team or the teams where there was a problem, and to kind of look at their design and look at, there's something we call Penta also that has to do actually with efficiency and profit and all these things. Like how can you put everybody to do what they know best, so that we have what we call not a hierarchy, not a heterarchy, but a synergy. Everybody is in the right place and there is synergy between the players. So that's how I started infusing this kind of inside what I was doing. And then I was like, no, wait a moment. I don't want like to kind of press it into the corporate world where maybe it's not even that welcome. Let me see, kind of let me sit back and see who comes to me. So that has opened up for the group work. I used to travel a lot to yoga retreats or even tantra retreats or trainings, and do it with people that are in some kind of integration process after medicine work or any kind
Mm.
of integration work, which is much less this year. And then of course one-on-ones, but I'm just one person, so I can't clone myself. I do work a lot with my business partner in Unlock Your Design, who created the website 64 Doors. We also have groups. So for people that are like, maybe right now with Corona, or whatever is going on, it's not the same. It's not the same as before. So maybe you don't even have that money to put on one-on-ones. Then we have groups that are $60 a month or something like that. And then you get to actually be in a field like and I think you can, Leo. I mean, I don't really know exactly what you do either, but I think you resonate with a sense of a field. Like when we came together as humans, when we worked with plant medicine, we kind of thought that it was the plant medicine field that the thing happened in. Then you start working with sexual energy, and you realize that life force create a field to work with. And then you realize that just when human beings come together, there is a field that is conducive for transformation when we are opening up to it. So for me now, it's the group settings are beautiful because there is a field. And if you have the courage to tap in and to co-create in that field, so much can happen just for you being in the energy, not even so much being in, the mind of like the theories of like the number of the gate and even the keyword. It's like, can you really lean into that field? Well, then your energy is going to feel that and things are going to open up.
Hmm. Definitely. It resonates with me because I'm working with a lot of my shamanic senses, which is basically feeling the environment, feeling in a holistic way a person. When I'm, for example, doing a shamanic coaching, I'm like scanning all the domains of this person by asking her questions. And then out of this big picture, I'm able in a way to design some kind of pathways, attunement of expansion. So there is this kind of feeling the field.
Yeah.
And in the last few months, I've been upgrading myself by guiding one-on-one in private and to a group. So I had the opportunity to be in front in a Zoom of like seven beautiful souls, and just like, oh, what is in the field today, and how do I resonate with that, and how we can weave our way together into that field. Because there is this kind of at the beginning I was like, oh, I'm going to prepare the session, I'm going to prepare everything, and somehow if I follow the plan too much, I get out of the field, or I'm so much into my controlling ego that it's not so relevant what I'm proposing, because I'm doing my plan that I did 2 days ago that is completely out of the vibration right now. So more and more into my life, I'm actually pressing go live and just, hey, what is coming, you know? I'm not like preparing or making any script anymore. And this is the magic of the now, and this is the magic of the field. And for me, this is how also I call the spirit is talking through me, because I don't think about what's coming. I'm just like holding the vibration that is flowing. And this is, when you talk about field, this is how I relate to that.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I love that we're in tune with that, because you were asking me, do you have any questions for me before we go live? Should we do it in French or in English? Like, it's like, it's playing with life, it's not, that's the most beautiful thing, when we can orient in every moment. And then, I still have to remember, like now you just saw me sit back, and I have to remember to breathe too, because when there is so much inspiration, enthusiasm, we also need to ask, like, what does the body need? Like how to not just like, for me, it's been so easy to be in spirit. Like it's easier for me to be in spirit than be embodied. But my work in this incarnation is to love to be here in physical form, or to learn to love to be here, and to trust something that's going to die. Like for me, many people might not even think about it, but I think many people that comes to me maybe have, because even like it's a big thing in a way to trust something that's gone every day dies a little bit more. It's like, I know it's kind of dark and macabre what I'm saying, but for me that's been hard. To be in spirit that's eternal was so much easier than to be in form that is mortal. And that's part of my journey. And I feel like that's part of what I can ignite in people too, to really want to be in this, and to be in the experience of the senses of what it is to be human, which is amazing. But it took me so long to trust the amazingness of the senses and the energy that moves through this vehicle.
That's amazing. Yeah, and basically this is tapping into this eternal spirit through this mortal human experience. And then once you are training yourself as a human being to be connected to that, there is a sense of, I'm not afraid anymore actually to die, because I'm basically dying every single day already. So why I would be afraid to die the ultimate death, if I can say. So it's really beautiful. And I would love to know, what is your next, I would say, transformational journey that you propose, or your next training for people to learn? Do you have such a thing coming soon?
Yeah, I go in now in January. So we have 10 days, I feel, with the solstice and the axis. Like I've been feeling my neck lately, because it's that, like, we're changing the axis of the earth and the tilt. And I even feel like the body of Mother Earth, that she's coming into an alignment that I can feel, because we're small earthes on the earth in a way, small bodies on the big body. So I feel for the next 10 days, I'm going to step back a little bit more than I usually do. And I'm opening a container in January that is called the Sacred Union, where we're using the Gene Keys in Human Design. We're using the activations of Venus and Mars, the feminine, the masculine, to go really deep into our seed energy, the masculine, the feminine side of us. Because when we open up that seed energy and the masculine and feminine in both women and men, in each one of us are working together in sacred union, that's when our true journey starts. So that's going to be a month. And I think I can probably just put the links under the live, because I'm really it's so important for me, I feel, and this is Tantra in a way, but to be able to take the sacred union and like take Tantra, where we have our inner feminine and masculine, and look at that through the lens of our own gene keys, it's even more powerful. And that's what I'm doing in January. And then I'm actually going into a journey more about manifestation and kind of use how to unlock your prosperity, like the synergy that I was saying. How can you be every day in the right place, doing what you're good at and creating, prosperity or value for yourself and for the world. So that's going to be from February, but it's all in the same, it's all in the group container. So I can put the links for that, and I would love people. It's going to be a little bit tough if you're completely new to this, but we also have like welcome calls and office hours so that you can come and be like, I'm so lost. That's kind of what happened to me, Leo. When I moved to France, I was 18, and I did like a something introduction, like I went to the university, and it was about law and something else. I cried every night for 2 weeks. I'm like, I don't understand anything. And then after 2 weeks, it clicked, and suddenly I was fluent in French, basically. And I did, the semester the way it was supposed to be, and I graduated. So sometimes, the barrier of entry, especially with French or with Jinkies, can feel like, oh my God, this book, you can buy a book that is so big. It can feel a little bit overwhelming, but for me, it's like, can you stay with it? Even when you don't get something. This is the same thing like with lovers. Sometimes you don't understand the other person, the other body, the emotions that arise. But if you can just stay with it, like something magical can happen. So that's, I guess, if there is an invitation that I have for people that are watching today, it's really, yeah, are you able to, even in the holiday times, you might be with your parents or your family, or you might not be with them because of the current regulations. But when that feeling comes up of like discomfort, can you just stay with it and see what happens? And something amazing can open up. Like, not running away from the wound or from the shadow is the portal for me to so many things in life, and especially to like evolving to something more than what we already are.
Definitely. I do relate with that, because every time that I've been stepping out of my comfort zone, I've been expanding. So becoming more of who I am just by staying there. Because if I'm always in my comfort zone, I'm just comfortable with myself. So I never evolve. So it's so important to a bit put ourselves on the edge and see what's going on there, And into this group container, it's a group container, if I understand well. And are you doing like the design for every person, or are you doing some kind of course online? How does it work exactly? I'm really curious,
I tend to, so in the group container, it's all online. We're meeting every Thursday, and we have those themes. Like I was saying, the one that comes next is the Sacred Union. Most of these people have some background in it. We also give free, like an hour masterclass on Gene Keys, an hour masterclass of human design on the basics. I mean, I have all my Facebook groups. You can basically, we have one Facebook group actually with Ashley with all the units. So you can go through the units and learn so much on your own. Some people are like, just tell me about my design. Just let me book something so I have that in my back pocket. So it's very unique the way some people want to learn. Like you said, some people want to learn the systems. I don't it's not like, I don't feel like it's about certification in those systems. I am certified because I wanted to kind of feel like I knew things, not for the sense of certification. I also do mentorships. So if you want to learn the systems and be able to read for your clients, or maybe just not even use it with your clients, but you want to be able to look at it, and so that you kind of know the person before you start working, that can be a good thing to do as well. But I would probably just kind of join one of our Facebook groups, look at some of all the free things we do. And if you resonate, then it's like, I'm just a message away.
Wow, that's powerful. Yeah, I would definitely love that you post under this live, maybe the link to your groups, and the link to the training that you do in January. I feel there's many people that can really interested. I'm surprised about the Sacred Union part that you are proposing, because I am so much into that also. I'm always talking about this inner couple. I thought that like this, the masculine, the feminine from within, regardless to your gender, and I'm really like evolving through that. And this is part of my purpose. Also, I've been realizing that I'm really a kind of, I call that androgynous being. I'm acknowledging my femininity and I'm acknowledging my masculinity at the same time. And I've been doing a lot of soul reading from many different currents of thoughts, and they are all coming to the same point where I'm like in the middle of that. So it was a big journey for me to accept that kind of polarity that I am and this kind of equality into my being, you know, to the extent that, for example, 5 years ago, when I started to take singing lessons, I discovered that I have a strong male voice, but I can also sing real high pitch as a female. So I've this kind of codes into me, you know. In my sexual life also, I've been exploring during years only with men, and now I'm much more exploring women. So it's really like embodied experience of those polarities, and it's really rich somehow.
Yeah, and that acknowledgement is what I feel, because many of us, we have, again, is we're rigid in what we think we are, but when we can open up and allow the exploration, that's so powerful. But it takes courage, and that's what I see with a lot of the people I work with. It's especially younger men now that are actually kind of surprising me, you know. Especially I've seen there's something strange, like where where Pluto was in 1988 seemed to be like a really important kind of step. Like men born after 88 just seem to like already have some kind of code for synergy, for for truth, I guess. So there, yeah, there's something that's happening already. The kids that are getting born now and coming into the world, maybe also because they are much closer to what we are saying, the liberation of spirit. They can't come with all the baggage. They have to have a little bit less to kind of layer off before they can, because we are going to need that. If the world needs that kind of, you know, inner warrior and inner courage to be everything that we are, feminine, masculine, dark, and light.
Mm. Wow, that's really complete. Okay, okay. Let me feel. I kind of run out of question because it's like blowing my mind how complete it is. So I'm like, whoa, now I fed my mind really nicely. I would love some experience of embodiment of it. So I may look at your website a bit more, go through your training, and to see how does it resonate with me and see how I can go further with that. I really like that. I'm working in a really different way. Like for me, it's all about diving deep into the subconscious mind, and I'm doing like shamanic journeys to the subconscious mind to rewire the belief system, revisit the relationships, and really like doing this inner magic, a kind of non-logical perspective, because I'm using the intuition, the imagination. So it's really interesting that what you are presenting, it's a kind of, it's almost scientific, you know, it's like really logical. I see that, and it's just resonating in that way. So the mind can grab it, you know.
But I guess it is, but it's different from astrology in the sense that we are looking at the conscious and the subconscious. And I didn't go into that because we already
Okay.
have so much. And also, my shamanic journey is when I look at your chart and there is something that ignites in me, and I start to kind of, you know, I start to see the subconscious. I start to see the inner child. I start to see the grandmother. So it's almost like, you know, it's all, there's so many portals and you are using a certain portal to go in. I might use a different one, but I feel like it's still kind of like there's just one place of truth in a way. Like we use different tools or different portals, but I think it's at the end of the day, it's the same thing that matters. And it is to look, you know, to look at what's there and to bring it up to the light so that we are aware of more somehow.
That's amazing. I love that, this idea of portal. In a way, we are just like looking at the same stuff. Everybody's looking at the same source, but from a different perspective. And if you have one advice right here, right now, for the people that are watching regarding to this age of Aquarius, for this special day today and the week that is coming, which is a powerful one that is proposing us to embody our truth and to start to shine our light even more. This is what I feel about this time. If you have like one advice for them to embody more their true self, what would it be?
Yeah, I feel like the winter solstice and those transits are all about light codes. And it is about the ability for us to embody more light. And my invitation is that sometimes when the light starts to crack through, we know that sometimes things need to crack in order for more light to pass through. So I would say allow things to crack in you, in your heart, in your soul, in your mind. Allow things to crack and know that when you crack, the more you crack open, the more light can come through, the more light can be held and embodied. And that's what I feel that we are. It's going to feel like maybe a lot of pressure right now for a little time, but we are upgrading, so it's becoming used to that higher voltage, and you can hold it. We all can, but we have to allow some of the things to crack, and that's just beautiful.
Wow. The image that is coming to me is the diamonds. Uh, the diamonds are becoming diamonds under high pressure, and they don't have the possibility to feel fear, but they're not afraid to become a diamond because they know that this process is necessary for refining themselves. So it's the same as human beings. Don't, in a way, you're saying, allow the death to take you in order to expand and to yeah and for the light to come through you in that process of transformation that is constant, right? Because on my way, since few years, I noticed that it's almost accelerating the process of death and rebirth. It's like in one single day now I can like go through a lot and evolve so much. uh, uh, Before, for me, it was taking much more time, you know. And I feel like the more the frequency is rising, the more we are tapping into those inner codes and unveiling our light, our truth, the more we have access, and it's like rising.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so much. And that's the thing, like we were saying too. I mean, that is to live with courage, to be
Mm.
okay with dying, and to be okay with rebirth. And yeah, and I feel like I'm thinking about no, like even people that are doing breath work, it's kind of the same. That's another portal. So I would say that's advice too. Find your portal, like be curious about, ask your portal to show itself to you, because there are all so many doors. So maybe the discernment, also Aquarius has to do with discernment, and it's an air sign, so it's also you tapping into your discernment about what's your portal. Not all the things are going to be right for you, so again, tap into you, the discernment, like what's the door that I choose to explore right now.
I love that. Okay. Yeah. I've been recently using the maps of the archetypes, but the one that are linked to the chakras. Basically, there is, for the root chakra, this is the shaman. For the sacred chakra is the lover. Then we go into the warrior, the king, the joker, the magician, and the priest, you know. And I love to explore myself through those archetypes. It doesn't mean that I am one of them. It's just that I'm going through the codes and those doors to see what part of myself I can discover and then embody even more.
Yeah, I love that. And that's the sense of the archetypes with 64 doors too. It's like to take on the costume. Like it's cool to be in the sacral, juicy energy, but then maybe the next day it's right to be in the priest energy and to
Mm,
discern. Like we are humans, we are so much. So to not box ourselves into one, but to allow them to kind of play and express themselves through us. That's super powerful. I love that.
mm. And one of the things that I really acknowledged recently is the power of the words. I mean, I was aware of that, but I'm more and more becoming like, wow, this is really something. In a sense that, for example, in the last 2 weeks, there's people asking me questions like, are you a shaman or are you something like this? And me, I don't really like to put myself in a box. But from the moment that I just said, yes, I'm a shaman, but not only, and I explained that kind of exploration, but from the moment that I say that, I acknowledge that part of myself. And then this part has been like grounded. And somehow the week after, I had access to more priest codes, you know. And for me, the power of the words is to using them at the moment to acknowledge those parts but not identify with them, and just like I'm exploring that, I'm exploring those codes through those words at the moment, and I will see where it leads to, but I'm not putting myself into a box, because otherwise it's just the opposite way. It's just comfort zone again.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Wow, I love that. Okay, maybe do you have any question?
No, maybe just a silent minute or something that we can just share our energy or something with people.
I do agree, thank you so much. Okay, let's do that. Yes, 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 yes. Amazing. So inspiring, so powerful. I'm really grateful that our paths just like crisscross and create this container. I would love to make other interviews from you in French, because there is a crowd also, part of my audience that are French, and I would love them to have access to those codes. So probably in 2021 at the beginning of the year. Yes, I would love to make that in French.
Yeah, let's do it.
We have a question from somebody. Miriam Stackman. She said, "Thank you both, dearest Bella and Leo, for shining here with us. Thank you both, dearest Leo and Bill, for shining here with us and for us. Dear Leo, what does it mean for you to be a conscious lion?" It's an interesting question. Okay, I can answer to this question. For me, into conscious lion, there is the two aspects, which is the conscious, which is more the awareness and this kind of divine capacity to witness the reality. And there is the lion, that is also the wildness, that is the king of the jungle, that is the one that is embodying his divinity. So there is this kind of aspect between the conscious lion to unite both perspective earthy and divine, and to make that as an experiential embodiment onto this planet. And basically the lion is also, as I said, the king of the jungle, which is calling us, reminding us that we are kings and queens also. And is encouraging us to roar our truth. This is how I see the lion, is roaring his truth, and it can be heard like 5 kilometers away in the jungle. So his truth is really shining far. And this is for me a good mirror of our potential as human, that we may tend to underestimate how much we are powerful. And the lion is just this kind of wild and free, and even sometimes we can perceive him as arrogant. You know, if you look at the Lion King, you know, this stuff is always like, I'm a lion, you know. But it's also like he knows who he is, so he's just embodying it proudly and with humility somehow, but it's just like in his power. And this is what does it mean for me, being a conscious lion. Thank you for this beautiful question. Yes. So I think the transmission is over for today. It was powerful, so powerful. I love the codes that you're carrying. I love this light, and I love those keys and those design, human, and all this energy is just delicious. So I'm gonna integrate that, and yeah, don't hesitate to put more information under in the comments for people to have access to it, and I'm gonna go through also. So Bella, thank you so much. I wish you a beautiful now, and we talk to each other next year for this live in a different vibration in French. Yes, yes, yes. I love that.
Thank you. Merci, merci.
Merci. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.